Hey, it's Liam. You ever wonder why motivation seems to come and go like a wave? One day you're fired up, crushing your goals, and the next, it's like your drive just disappeared. You're not alone. It's one of the biggest challenges people face when trying to build new habits or make lasting changes. Today, we're diving into the psychology of motivation and uncovering why it's so hard to stay consistent, and more importantly, how you can finally fix it. But here's the twist. The reason you're struggling with motivation might not be what you think. It's not just about willpower or discipline. There's actually a psychological pattern that almost everyone falls into without even realizing it. Once you understand this, it changes everything. Now let me ask you this. Have you ever started something with full enthusiasm, like a workout routine, a new project, or a personal challenge? And then, after a few days or weeks, your energy just vanished? It's frustrating, right? You might even start questioning yourself, wondering if you just lack commitment or if something's wrong with you. But here's the thing. The real issue lies in how your brain perceives motivation itself. Most people think of motivation as this endless fuel source, something that, once ignited, should keep burning. But that's not how it works. Motivation is more like a spark than a steady flame. And if you don't know how to reignite it when it fades, you're bound to fall into the same cycle over and over again. But don't worry, I'm going to share a few key insights that completely shift how you see motivation and consistency. We'll look at why motivation naturally ebbs and flows and how high performers manage to stay consistent even when they don't feel like it. Trust me, it's not about being superhuman. It's about working with your brain's natural patterns, not against them. But before we get into the science, here's a quick thought experiment. Think back to the last time you felt truly motivated. What triggered it? Was it a new idea, a challenge, or maybe a fresh start? Motivation often spikes when something feels new or exciting, but that rush fades when the novelty wears off. This is where most people hit a wall. They mistake that initial surge for sustainable drive, and when it dips, they lose momentum. Now here's where things get interesting. Your brain is wired to respond to novelty and reward. This means that when a routine becomes predictable, your motivation naturally declines. It's not about lacking discipline, it's just how your brain is set up. This is why so many people struggle to stick with long-term goals. They start strong, but as the routine becomes repetitive, their brain loses interest. So how do you break the cycle? One of the most effective strategies is to build what I call micro-intrigue into your routine. Instead of doing the exact same thing every day, introduce small changes that keep your brain guessing. It could be as simple as changing the order of your tasks, trying a new approach, or setting a mini challenge within your routine. These tiny tweaks can make a huge difference because they activate your brain's reward center, reigniting that spark of motivation. But here's the kicker. It's not just about changing things up randomly. You need to balance novelty with structure. Too much change and you lose consistency. Too little and you lose interest. High performers master this balance by creating routines that are flexible yet predictable. For example, they might follow a core routine while allowing some variation in how they approach it. And there's another crucial piece to this puzzle. The concept of identity-based motivation. Most people set goals based on what they want to achieve, but the most successful individuals think differently. Instead of just focusing on the outcome, they align their actions with their identity. For example, instead of saying, "I want to get fit," they say, "I am someone who values health." This subtle shift makes a massive difference because it transforms actions into affirmations of who you are, not just tasks you need to complete. So think about it. Are you setting goals based on what you want, or are you building habits around who you want to become? When your actions are aligned with your identity, consistency becomes natural, not forced. And here's something even more surprising. Motivation actually follows action, not the other way around. You don't wait to feel motivated to start. You start, and motivation builds as you see progress. It's like pushing a heavy object. It's hard to get moving at first, but once it's in motion, momentum makes it easier to keep going. All right, we've uncovered a lot so far. But what about those days when you just don't feel like doing anything, no matter what strategies you try? There's a psychological reason behind that too, and it's connected to something called decision fatigue. But I'll dive into that right after this. You'll want to stick around because understanding decision fatigue can change how you approach your daily routines forever. Decision fatigue is a fascinating concept. It happens when your brain gets overwhelmed by the sheer number of choices you have to make throughout the day. Think about it. From the moment you wake up, your mind is constantly making decisions. What to wear, what to eat, how to start your work. Each choice chips away at your mental energy, leaving you drained by the time you actually get to the tasks that matter most. So when your motivation drops, it's not necessarily because you're lazy or uncommitted. Often, it's just that your brain has run out of decision-making fuel. This is why successful people minimize trivial choices in their daily lives. They automate routines, wear similar outfits, or meal prep ahead of time. It's not about being boring, it's about conserving mental energy for the decisions that truly matter. Here's a practical way to apply this. Start by creating a morning routine that requires as little thinking as possible. Lay out your clothes the night before, plan your breakfast, and even write down your first task. This way, you're not burning valuable mental energy on small decisions. Instead, you're reserving that focus for your most important goals. But what if you still don't feel like taking action, even after reducing decision fatigue? This is where one of the most underrated techniques comes in: the 2-minute rule. It's simple but powerful. Whenever you feel resistance to starting a task, break it down to the simplest version that takes just 2 minutes. The trick here is to lower the barrier to entry. Let's say you want to work out but just can't bring yourself to start. Instead of committing to a full session, just put on your workout clothes and stretch for 2 minutes. More often than not, once you begin, you'll naturally continue. It's all about initiating momentum. But here's the deeper reason this works. The brain hates unfinished business. Once you start, your mind wants to complete the task to feel a sense of closure. It's like starting a movie and wanting to see how it ends. By tricking yourself into beginning, you're setting up a loop that your brain feels compelled to close. And speaking of loops, here's one more game changer. Motivation thrives on small wins. Your brain releases dopamine when you achieve something, even if it's minor. This means that setting tiny, achievable goals can actually build long-term consistency. Instead of aiming to read an entire book in one sitting, commit to just one chapter. Instead of writing an entire report, draft the introduction. Every time you hit a small milestone, your brain rewards you, and that boost in motivation propels you forward. But why do some people seem to naturally maintain motivation while others struggle? It often comes down to how they frame their progress. Instead of focusing on how far they still have to go, they look at how much they've already accomplished. This mindset shift makes the journey feel more rewarding and less daunting. Here's an example. Let's say you're trying to learn a new skill. Instead of constantly thinking about how proficient you're not, reflect on how much you've improved since you started. This perspective doesn't just make you feel better, it actually sustains your motivation because your brain recognizes progress as a reward. But let's be real, there will still be days when your motivation is low, no matter what strategies you use. That's okay. The key is not to rely on motivation alone. High performers know that discipline bridges the gap when motivation wanes. They structure their environments to make the right choices easier. If you want to consistently eat healthy, don't stock your pantry with junk food. If you're aiming to work out regularly, set up a home gym or have your gear ready. By making the path of least resistance align with your goals, you're far more likely to stay consistent. One more crucial point: never underestimate the power of social accountability. Telling someone about your goal or sharing your progress publicly creates a sense of responsibility. When others are aware of your commitment, you're less likely to back out. It's a subtle psychological nudge, but it's incredibly effective. And here's a surprising truth. Motivation itself can become a habit. The more you practice these small, consistent actions, the more your brain associates them with progress. Over time, you'll notice that you're not waiting for motivation to strike. You've trained yourself to act regardless of how you feel in the moment. To wrap up, the psychology of motivation isn't about waiting for inspiration to hit. It's about understanding how your brain works and setting yourself up for success. By minimizing decision fatigue, creating small wins, and building systems that make good habits automatic, you can break the cycle of inconsistency once and for all. Next time you feel your motivation slipping, remember this: It's not about being stronger or more disciplined. It's about being smarter with how you structure your environment and approach your goals. You've got this. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on building a high-performance mindset. See you in the next one.